All right, we're continuing our 26 steps to become an Orthodox Jew, in 26 steps to have a relationship with God. Number 17 is the life cycles. What are the basic life cycles of life? Um, and what the basic meaning, just that we're aware of the different things that we go through as a Jew. First thing, a baby is born. If it's a boy, 8 days later, then we do the mitzvah of Brit Milah, circumcision. That's one of the first mitzvah of a human being once he's born. If it's a firstborn male, also there's a mitzvah to redeem. It's called Pidyon Haben. After 30 days, we bring the child to the Kohen, and there's a whole ceremony of Pidyon Haben when you, because it's the firstborn, technically it's meant to, it belongs to the Kohen to serve God. Any firstborn has a special connection, and therefore, if you want to take charge to make your son, teach your son how to serve God, then you have to pay back, meaning buy your son back, so to speak, to the Kohen. It's a more spiritual ceremony, but it's also very tangible, very physical. So just know that that's the thing. If it's a girl who is born, there is no specific thing, but a girl is a blessing in the house. It's as good as a boy. It's just not as many mitzvot. Then the next thing is Bas and Bar Mitzvah. This is not from the Torah. The only thing from the Torah is that a woman becomes a woman, considered a woman at 12 years old, and a man becomes a man at 13 years old. So that's a time where we become legally adult as Jews, and all the mitzvot, meaning all our relationship with God, kicks in at 12 or 13 years old, and one has to do all the mitzvot from then on, and start becoming completely religious, meaning starting having a complete relationship with God on all levels. Technically, a man and woman can get married at 12 and 13 years old. We don't nowadays, especially because we're immature and too young and don't have any responsibility, capable of having a responsibility, so we wait till later. But technically, plus I think it's forbidden in most countries before 18. So, but just that you know, that's the moment we start. Bar mitzvah, usually there's a ceremony done where the boy reads his portion of the Torah on the week that he was born, and he reads a piece. There's different ways. Sometimes they don't read the Torah; they read the piece of Haftarah. Sometimes they just say the blessing, depending on how knowledgeable the child is. Technically, there's no need to do it, but it's a very beautiful thing to do, and they give a speech or little Dvar Torah that they have. A woman, when it's Bat Mitzvah, some have, the more modern Orthodox have a tradition to do a party for it, but usually the ultra-Orthodox don't do anything specific. They might do something home or smaller or in the class. Then comes the time for dating. As Jews, we are not afraid to start as early as possible, so that we start our life young. And at 18, the Mishnah says in Pirkei Avot that 18 years old is the time to start dating. Today, usually we wait a bit longer. It depends on the situation. We have to be financially stable, ideally. Every case is different, obviously, but 18, 19, 20, this is a good time to start dating and finding one's mate. The way we date by Orthodox usually is with a shidduch, meaning that when you're ready to date, then you start inquiring to other parents, or there's something called shatchanim, which are people who connects, well, I have a son, and this is what type of son I have, and say, oh, I know someone that might fit that. So that's one way to do it. Sometimes it's just knowledge of people, or people who have met at boys and girls who have met at the wedding or things like that, but usually boys and girls don't mix, and unless you go by very modern Orthodox or modern Orthodox, and therefore usually shidduchim are made, dating, kosher dating, if we call it like that, doesn't matter. Then you get married. When you get married, there's a whole ceremony. You have to do it with a rabbi, with two kosher witnesses, which is two kosher witnesses meaning two religious Jew who are not related to you, and a rabbi who is called Mesaber Kiddushin, who runs the ceremony, and the rest really you don't need anybody else. But obviously you want to celebrate with as many people as possible, and if you want to have the 7 blessings under the chuppah, then you need at least 10 men. Those I believe are the main things of life. Trying to remember if there's anything else specific in the cycle of life. I believe those are the main thing that comes with time, and after that there's obviously the time for death, and time of death is that you actually have to prepare yourself when you know you're about to die. I mean, hopefully we don't always know, but someone who dies from old age can prepare himself, and he says certain things. He says confession and Shema Israel and certain things to be able to depart from this world to go in the next world, the next stage, with more ease, spiritual ease. So those were the main stages of life, and I think although they're simple and small, very important to know that those are the main things. And yes, if you have any question, please feel free to ask.